Hey guys, Ron here, and normally I reveal my top 10 or so favorite Pokemon in a region once the new region comes out, but this time around I kinda have an opinion on like all of the Pokemon in Generation 8, so it makes sense to do a tier list instead, especially since I don't have a concrete order yet, but I know which ones are A's and which ones are D's, but since I like to slowly reveal the Pokemon, we're gonna go from the bottom up. I'm honestly just ranking them based on how they make me feel. Nothing too complicated with this one. We'll start with D since there aren't any F's in my opinion. I'm not offended by or hate any Generation 8 Pokemon, but the D rank are Pokemon that definitely need more work and I'm pretty mixed on. We'll start with my least favorite Galar Pokemon, Blipbug. I love its evolution, but Blipbug's head is uncomfortably big. It makes sense once you realize its final Evo has a big brain, but a circle would have been much better than an oval. Greedent is mostly fine, but its eyes are too cartoony. Its face is also too patronizing for a Pokemon who steals the berries you've earned. Dracovish is my least favorite of the fossils. I love their concept, but this is too far. No scientist would ever be this dumb. Arctozolt is the most correct looking of the fossils, but I don't like how its head is clearly freezing. It's not in its natural state and it's probably in a lot of pain. I don't like that. Now it's time for the C tier. These are Pokemon that I think are fine. Nothing wrong if you like them. They're mostly positive than negative for me, so I still enjoy them. The closer they are to the top left, the more I like them. Of course, all the Pokemon in the same tier basically get the same amount of points, but their place could easily move up the more I learn about them in the coming months. Indeedee is fine, but it's the only Pokemon in the game that kinda seems unnecessary to me. There's nothing bad about it, and I get they're a butler and maid, but like, what are they really? I prefer Audino way more. Pincurchin is fine, its name is clever, but it's not as appealing as Pyukumuku. No reason it should be higher. Toxel is the only Pokemon in existence that doesn't look like a Pokemon to me. It looks like a Neopet, and a very indifferent one. It's fine though, I'd catch one and care for it. Silicobra has a nice design. I like it way more than Ekans, and I like Ekans. But I'm getting tired of this uninterested look that some of the Pokemon in the C tier have. Hattena's cute. I don't really like its party hat as much as the hat of its evolutions, but it's not really a flaw. Choodle's okay. It didn't have to be this derpy, but I'm getting really used to it. Impidimp used to be an F for me, but the more I saw it move and understood its personality, I really started to like it. Today it's a C, but it could be a C+ tomorrow. Dottler is fine, one of the best cocoon Pokemon, but it's still a middle stage bug. Nothing too exciting. Alchemy could have been higher since I don't hate food Pokemon. Like, Vanillish isn't an ice cream cone, it's just in the shape of one, but this one crosses the line a bit too much. It literally secretes cream. I'll get used to it eventually, it's cute. Nickit is also cute, but its proportions aren't my favorite. I like its design though. Stonejourner is neat. I wouldn't mind using one, just not attached to it yet. A little too on the nose with the Stonehenge concept. I like Galarian Mr. Mime way more than Cantonian Mr. Mime, but it's still a Mr. Mime, so it can't be higher than a C+. I honestly like Gossifleur, nothing wrong with it at all, it's just not interesting. Arctovish isn't bad, its mouth being on the back of its head is pretty unsettling though. Dracozolt's my favorite of the fossils. I really like its face and tail separately. I would love to see the full original Pokemon. Carkol is relatively low because I don't really like its face. I love the rest of it though, but its face should be more monstrous than goofy. However, I do like it in motion. Eternatus is honestly one of my least favorite third legendaries. It's not bad at all, but I have no attachment to it whatsoever. It's cool, but I like all the Ultra Beasts way more. We simply don't know enough about it for its existence to be justified. I like Galarian Meowth and Berserker, I really do, almost enough to put them in the B tier. I don't really understand the complaints of another Meowth. There are a ton of breeds of cats, and it having the most regional forms mimics real life. I like them more than their Alolan counterparts. B tier time! Again, going from bottom to top. These are the Pokemon I definitely like and would definitely understand if they were somehow your favorite Pokemon. They're all good Pokemon. Flapple and Applin are cool. I've been asking for an apple Pokemon since I was a kid and finally got them. They're both very clever. Not a huge fan of Flapple's face though. I like Galarian Yamask more than the Unova one. It's a bit creepier and ties into its evolution better. Duraludon isn't my favorite dragon type, but it's a good Pokemon. I just don't fully understand it yet. Its Gigantamax form is amazing though, that's an A. Milcery is very cute. Looks like a bunch of minimalistic Pokemon I drew as a kid, and that's a comforting thing. Solid B. Roly-Poly is cool too. Like, there isn't really a flaw. I wish it could emote, but that's just what this Pokemon is. I actually like Ice-Cube. It's a dope Pokemon. It's not one of my favorites, but I definitely like its concept more than the average person. Arrokuda is also perfect for what it is. I wouldn't change anything. Its evolution is simply better, but that's the thing with almost every Pokemon. I can't hate a Pokemon with a grin like that. Sizzlipede is great. Again, its Evo is gonna get more talk time. Cufant. Oh, we're gonna talk about Cufant's evolution. But Cufant's a B. Its official art will make you love it even more. I'm simply not a fan of its color. Colossal's a great Pokemon. I absolutely love its Gigantamax form, but its normal eyes aren't my favorite. But it's super solid. Cramorant is a great idea. It's a tiny bit too simple for me though. If it had more of an intelligent expression, it would look more like a Pokemon than an actual Cormorant. But other than that, it's perfect. I really like Mr. Rhyme, way less creepy than Mr. Mime. I love its ice cane, I love its ice tap shoes, I love its dance in the game. It's crazy that we have a Mr. Mime Evo. Sandaconda is a mighty fine Pokemon. Once again, I prefer its Gigantamax form, but that's not a bad thing. Of course, its normal form shouldn't be a giant tornado. It's good for what it is. By now it's pretty clear that the Pokemon in B tier are great. They're slightly above average when compared to all Pokemon. It's crazy to say that Stunfisk is above average. I love Bear Trap Stunfisk. It's a perfect idea, and I love how it's implemented in the game. Galarian Zigzagoon is tight. No actual design flaw. Galarian Rapidash is good. My expectations were they're a bit too high, so I was a bit disappointed. I still like the original Rapidash a good amount more, mostly because of the eyes. Good Pokemon though. Sissel's cool. It honestly looks exactly how I imagined a Sobble middle stage to look like. It's still an awkward teen starter middle stage. Rookidee is one of the most likable early root bugs. A B is really high for such a Pokemon. Same for Squovette. It's super cute. I love it. But again, it's an early root normal type. A darn good one though. Thievul's good, I like it. Pretty simple Pokemon with simple concept that makes total sense. Nothing bad about it. Morpeko's great. One of my favorite Pikachu clones. It looks delicious, not gonna lie. This Pokemon makes me hangry. Hatterene is great. Not my favorite feminine psychic type, but I can't think of a concrete flaw. Its seductive silhouette works and it's pleasant to look at. Hey guys, Future Ron here, just saying that I actually really like Hatterene way more than I did when I made this list. I'm bumping it up one tier. I kinda get it now. I love it a lot, especially after seeing it more in battle and more of its personality in Pokemon Camp and a lot of art of it. Not the kind you think, but more about the ones that, depict it being just a creepy force, which honestly, it's cool. Hatterene's cool. Eldegoss is also simply great. I love seeing it in the games, they're very calming. The Pokemon in this stage of the tier are practically B+, but aren't. Zacian's normal form, for example, doesn't excite me as much as its armored counterpart. But now it's time for the B+ tier. These are Pokemon I like a lot. They're great Pokemon, just not my personal favorites, making them hard to put in the A tier. But you never know, in a year or two some of them may rise up. Sinistea and Poltegeist are great. They slowly grew on me, and now I think they're awesome. I love how Sinestea's hand is the handle with its pinky out, and how Poltegeist is just so chill. Such a great personality. And we still have about half the region left, and they're all 8.8 or higher. Phalanx is one of the few multiple Pokemon in one Pokemon that I love. It makes total sense. A Phalanx Pokemon is a clever idea in an ancient English ruin. Morgrem is way better than Impidimp, and its axe hair is so fun to see in action. Inteleon time. Yeah, just like you guys, I didn't like its pose when we first saw the leak, but I loved its concept, and it makes sense that a shy, invisible Sobble would become a confident spy. It's good character development. I much preferred if it was slightly thicker and had a better stance, but when I saw it battle and its official art, it went from a B to a B+. I seem to like Toxtricity less than the average person. To most, it's a 10 out of 10, while to me it's a pretty good 8.9. It's an awesome Pokemon, and while I wish its appendages weren't so humanoid, it's a great example of a design packed with meaning and substance. Its two forms based on a guitar and a bass definitely deserve an award. Galarian, Darumaka, and Darmanitan have no flaws. I originally would have wanted a more Yeti Darmanitan, but since we have an abominable snowman Pokemon already, this more literal snowman design is very clever, especially since Darmanitan is round. They both work really well. Dreepy is my dude. Its Evos have more talking points, but you'll have to wait for that. Wooloo is where it should be. I'm sure people want it to be an A, but come on, the A Pokemon are amazing. Yamper used to be a B, but then I played the game and it became my favorite Pokemon in the overworld. Boltund was one of the MVPs on my team, so I did fall in love with it. It's a perfect design for an electric dog. He would have immediately entered A tier if his expression wasn't so anxious looking. And Zamazenta's hero state is great. It looks natural and is only here because its crown state looks better. Time for A tier. A is for amazing Pokemon. Pokemon that are way above average to me. A+ is for the ones I love the most, and S is for my personal batch of favorites. The ones I immediately fell in love with. But first let's look at the amazing A's. Keep in mind, the order isn't really concrete. We got Zacian and Zamazenta, they're pretty epic. I thought they were cool when I first saw them, B+ material, but in-game they're sick. Their lore is good too. Appleton is pretty adorable, another design I would have dreamt of as a kid. Would have been an A+ if kids didn't eat its back. I love its color scheme though, very comforting. Corvisquire has such a beautiful color scheme too, and the fact that it's basically an armorless Corviknight is actually respectable. A bold design. Nothing to complain about here. Galarian Farfetch'd is way better than the original one. It's honestly flawless. Clobopus is also great. No mouth, yet still so expressive. It's a very entertaining Pokemon. But Snom is, well, Snom. It's perfect. I'd form a religion around it. Snom is pretty Snom. I'm a huge fan of Barraskewda, maybe more than the average person. It's a very natural evolution of its Prevo, and I love how its tail spins. Hatchram is the best design in its family, in my opinion at least, and when a middle Evo is higher in rank than its awesome evolved form, that means it's a quality Pokemon. Runerigus is not objectively better than Cofagrigus, but I enjoy it a bit more. It's very interesting. Dubwool is better than I expected in terms of a Wooloo evolution. I love everything about it. Obstagoon and Galarian Linoon are radical. I was so excited when they were revealed, and seeing an Obstagoon in a real game, the evolution of a Pokemon I've known since my first Pokemon game, is surreal. I'm so happy. Cinderace is one of the most animated Pokemon in the game. Its personality is infectious, and Pyroball is insane. It would be an A+ if its arms were slightly longer. I love the concept of a dead Coral Corsola. Global warming is no joke, so Corsola getting such a fitting form is genius. Same with Galarian Weezing. It combines so many British industrial tropes in a Pokemon and still makes sense and even subverts the concept by making it a fairy type that purifies air. Surfetch'd is a Pokemon we've wanted for decades. The wait was worth it. It's so fun to look at, and I love its color scheme. It's very pure. If it was slightly taller, it would be an A+. Where all the perfect Pokemon go. Sobble is the starter I like the least in this gen, and it's still an A. It really shows how much they nailed the starters in this gen. Sobble is one of my 3 good boys. And finally, Thwackey is an amazing middle stage starter. I love everything about its design, how it moves, its personality, it's rocking, and I'm one of the few who likes its tropical color scheme. And now, before we move on to my personal favorites in the S tier, let's move on to the A+ Pokemon, who are perfect in my eyes. Galarian Ponyta is more than flawless, it's godlike. It's one of the cutest Pokemon in existence and has a color scheme I'm in love with. I would like this Pokemon in real life. I really would. When it smiles, I smile. Scorbunny is a perfect starter. It's energetic and fun, and I don't know a person who wouldn't want this Pokemon by their side. It looks like it's ready for any battle. Dreadnought is an example of a Pokemon I fell in love with instantly. Something about its color scheme is personally comforting. It reminds me of my childhood for some reason, and using it in my Sword playthrough always made me feel like a kid again. I don't know, maybe it just has the same tropical vibe as the Hoenn Pokemon I grew up with. It just looks like a Pokemon to me, and its design is refreshing. Cursula is stupendous. I'm overwhelmed by how much I'm impressed by its presence every time I look at it. It's such an amazing idea. And the following 12 Pokemon are technically my top 10, since 2 of them are pre-evolutions of other Pokemon in the following list of 12. That means Grimmsnarl is number 10. Grimmsnarl changed everything. It made me like Impidimp. I'm a fan of intimidating Pokemon, and this thing is a beast. I love how it uses its hair to attack and increase its mass. I love that it's green with purple hair. I love that it's a goblin in a British-inspired region. It all comes together. Frostmoth is exactly what I wanted in an ice bug type, and for so long I wanted a Pokemon that is similar to a Poodlemoth, and they gave me exactly that. It's so majestic. And Dracloak is just a sneak peek of the insane concept of its evolution. Having its pre-evolution ride on its back is so endearing and incredibly cute. It's such a fantastic concept. How is this never done before? A+ to the max, dog. I kinda ruined it there, but moving on to the S tier, we'll save it. Here are the Galarian Pokemon who are my personal favorites. S tier time. Rabu tier, cause look at this Kid Kakashi. He acts like Kid Kakashi. He looks like a ninja rabbit. I love him so much. Raboot may be my favorite middle stage starter. Then we got Orbeetle. It's simply one of the coolest looking Pokemon in the game. Bug type is slowly getting higher on my list of types. They keep on nailing the bugs, like an entomologist up in here. Bug and Psychic? This is definitely my favorite early root bug. It's crazy how its Prevo is my least favorite Pokemon in the game, but I got one, trusting my gut that it would become awesome, and it did. Best decision of my life. Corviknight doesn't really need an explanation, it's objectively cool. I think any human can understand how easy it is for another human to worship a 7-foot tall raven with armor. What a perfect Pokemon to show in the first real trailer for these games. But an unexpected champion in this region is Centiskorch. While it may have my favorite Gigantamax form in its normal state, I still absolutely love this Pokemon. It's such a no-brainer, like a fire centipede? Of course it's gonna look hot. Next up is Dragapult. Dude, it shoots its babies from its head. And they look so cute inside their little holes. Like, how is it possible that Game Freak created a Pokemon that is both the cutest thing ever while being intimidating. It honestly represents 3 of my fears: ghosts, a bunch of tiny holes, and weird looking planes. I'm completely serious. Check out my creating new Pokemon from my fears video and you'll understand. This Pokemon is the most unique character I've seen in a Pokemon game, and I want everybody to see it. Grapploct was another Pokemon that I screamed when I first saw it. It's the most badass an octopus can get. Another obviously clever and unique Pokemon, and like Dragapult, it has a color scheme that pops out. It's very attractive. I wish I created this Pokemon. The one tentacle wrapped around its waist like a belt is one of the most genius design traits I've seen in a Pokemon. Now let me tell you something about me. My favorite color is green, and my favorite animal is an elephant. I love collecting green elephant statues. Copperajah is the embodiment of who I am. I relate to this Pokemon more than any other Pokemon in this generation. You don't know how much I'm pleased to finally have a giant elephant Pokemon, and the reason why it's green makes sense. Rusted copper is green, and the only time I like something with orange on it is when it's complemented by green, and they just went and did that. It's as if they looked inside my mind. It's scary, honestly. And the easiest S-tier Pokemon is a tie between Grookey and Rillaboom. I don't know if it's my favorite Pokemon in these games. Copperajah may be my number 1, but I was Grookey gang from the beginning and was so ecstatic when I saw Rillaboom. We won! It's exactly what I expected Grookey to evolve into. It's kinda better than what I expected, honestly. I feared they would mess something up, but it's literally exactly what I thought it would be, minus the fact that I expected the drum to be more like a bongo. I think Grookey is like the most balanced starter I've ever seen. It can believably have any emotion, while other starters are usually only cool or only shy or only smug. Grookey's just a nice fellow. I'm now Grookey gang for life. And if you want to see what I thought about these games or even the teams I used in Sword and Shield, please check out the videos on screen. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't. Check the description for the music I use, the t-shirts I made for you guys, and my Patreon for cool rewards. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you guys very soon.